Good morning. This is Mimi Brown, Family on a Budget. Uh, Real live adult talk. I wanted to come on here and share something this morning uh, that I've been holding on to for a while, and I'm glad that I have the courage to release it. I became a widow back in 2013, and you know, I don't think a lot of people understand about what happens with us widows. Widows do not, uh, we didn't ask to be widows, but when your spouse passes away, um, that's what you're called. Um, but I want to get into what happened to my husband. My husband had worked for uh, a rental company, and which was a family called Southwood Realty, and he enjoyed his job. He was in good health, didn't have any health issues or health problems, and he enjoyed the work that he did. I want to stop for a minute, and I want to go back on over some things. The reason why I come on here and also talk about property managers, and I talk about owners that own properties and everything, is because I have a passion for families that are, that are being mistreated and being overlooked. And as I said, I became a widow back in 2013, and my husband worked for a company called Southwood Realty, and he was a maintenance supervisor over one of their properties. My husband was in good health. He didn't have any health issues or anything like that. But he had came in that field because just like any of us, he switched fields. He always wanted to be a maintenance person, but he ended up being a supervisor. No, he didn't know everything about the position, but in time he had learned all kinds of things. He bettered himself at learning how to be a real good maintenance supervisor. He had to work every other weekend. He was on call. He had to switch with other people so they can have their time off with their family. So I had to share my husband, not just with the company that he worked with, but I had to share him, every other weekend when he was on call with someone else. So it's not just his profession, it's your profession too, because if you're husband and wife, you're there to support each other. And he was learning, I was learning too. And I really enjoyed how he had got so much joy out of learning how to be the best maintenance person he could be. He didn't really care too much about the title. He was just excited over the fact that he was learning how to make a house a home or apartment a home for the families. When things went wrong, he made sure that he showed up and made sure that he was right there on time, never late for work, always on time for work. I seen him growing in leaps and bounds. And like I said, this was a man that switched out from one field to coming into maintenance. And he didn't know a lot about maintenance, but he went back to school. He learned a lot about maintenance. He spent a lot of his time in the library reading up on different things that he had to learn about, tools and anything that he needed to learn how to do, so that when he showed up at your house, if you had a maintenance issue, he was equipped to do it. No, he didn't have no help or somebody to come help him. He was the maintenance supervisor. So if you called and if he was on call, or from Monday through Friday, if something happened in your apartment or happened in your house, he came there and he took care of the problem. Well, everything was going well. And like I said, he was really growing in that position. And unfortunately, my husband died in 2013, and he encountered black mold. And at that time, he had never knew what black mold was. Nobody never told him about it or anything. And even though a part of his job was to trash out the vacant apartments, clean them, prepare them, get them ready for a new family to move in. This one particular apartment, it was a gentleman that lived there in the apartment for over 20 something, 20 or 30 something years. And my husband, unfortunately, the man passed away. And my husband had to go in and he had to trash out the apartment. Trashing out the apartment is the same thing as taking everything out of there and cleaning it out and getting it ready, so that way it can pass inspection so people can move in it. It was a lot of work that had to be done to that apartment because the gentleman had lived there for so long. And in the midst of that, it was black mold in the apartment. My husband had never knew about black mold. He never encountered black mold. Southwood Realty, they did not even give him, equipment or masses or anything to go in there to do this. And when he was going in there, he just thought he would just trash it out like he'd do any other apartment. But he, like I said, he never knew about black mold. And a lot of people did not think that black mold could kill a person. Well, I'm that widow, and that was my husband. And unfortunately, my husband passed away from it. And the reason why I'm talking about this is because Southwood Realty did not take care of me and my family the way they was supposed to. My husband had he had life insurance with them, and you know, when your spouse is working for a company, you know, you don't be really looking at all the paperwork or whatever that they sign when they first come on to be an employee there or whatever have you. And so I didn't really ask any questions about it either. But I know every week when my husband got paid, I could see where they were taking the payments out of his paycheck. Well, something happened, and at the time when my husband had this black mold came into his body, instantly it took him in 10 days. He didn't even know what was happening to him. The first day that he trashed out the apartment, he looked fine. Everything looked fine with him. And the second day, it kind of looked, the same. The third day is when I started realizing that he looked like he wasn't breathing too well. And so, all the way from the first day up until the 10th day that he died, I didn't know that black mold was all in, he had breathed it in, because black mold, it can form in like dust. So like, say for instance, you know how you have ceiling fans, and the ceiling fan, if you don't clean it, it can sprinkle down on you, like it's dust or either, different kind of stuff that comes on ceiling fans from them, working for a period of time. That's how that black mold got into his body. He thought that it was just dust blowing from the fans, because it was fans in the apartment, and he was running the fans to keep it cool in there while he was trashing out the apartment. And like I said, it took him in 10 days. We didn't get any warning. But I didn't really see it coming. And, the hardest part about that was that, once I found out what was going on with him, and of course I had an autopsy done and all kinds of things and stuff like that. And we found out also that OSHA wasn't aware that Southwood Realty's, their insurance, they let it lapse, because you're supposed to have insurance on your apartment complexes and all that kind of stuff. And I'm sharing a lot of this because they might not like what I'm saying, but I'm the one who lost a husband. I'm the one that's a widow. And This happened in 2013. So if you do the math, you know, it's been a long time that I've been holding this in. But no, if I can help somebody else so that they don't have to deal with this, or their family won't have to suffer through this, then if you're strolling through and you hear me talking, just bear with me, because it takes courage to do what I'm doing. Because I lost my best friend. He wasn't just, my husband. He was my best friend. And like I said, a lot of people don't know about black mold. Black mold can come in the form of a dust. So say, for instance, you have ceiling fans and you're cleaning your ceiling fans, and some of the dust might fall on you. You don't know if that's black mold or not. But if you breathe it in, what it does is you breathe it in your body some kind of way from inhaling it. Rather, you didn't even know that you were doing that. And what it does is it rests on your lungs. And then your lungs kind of like turn like brick. And it's like it causes your lungs to turn into bricks where they get solid, where you stop breathing. And if you don't get to the hospital in time, you're out of here. And that's what happened to my husband, because it took 10 days, for that to really, set in his body. And we had no clue. All I know is from one day to the 10th day, I could see things changing with him, where he wasn't breathing well. Different people gave him, stopped him and sat him down. They gave him inhalers. But to him, he was always a very strong man, kind of proud man. He didn't think he was sick. He didn't think anything was wrong with him, but he knew that his breathing was kind of shallow. But people that knew him on that property, they knew that he was a really good maintenance person. Anytime they called him in the middle of the night, even if he wasn't on call, he loved his residents. And he would come there and do whatever he had to do, to get their apartment on track. Like some people, their air conditioning went out. My husband would go in the middle of the night and work all night if he had to fix it. And keep in mind, when you're a maintenance supervisor, they put you on a budget so that if you got to buy extra things or whatever, Southwood Realty did not give him extra money. Sometimes he would use his own money and buy fans and put them in people's apartments while he's working on their AC units or something like that. And I can testify to that. I have receipts to prove it. They know I do. So I'm not saying anything on this platform that's not true. But like I said, he died from black mold. He inhaled it from doing a trash out on one of their properties. And what hurt me the most, that I've been holding in all this time, and God has really been helping me get through the loss of him by talking about this, is that they were taking money out of his paycheck every week for his insurance. And, that's a sacrifice too, because when they're taking money out of your paycheck, that's taken away from your family. But he had them do that so that way if something happens, then Mimi will be fine. Mimi will be okay. And, I left it at that. He left it at that. Okay, something happened because he had died on October the 28th, 2013. This was on a Sunday. This was like Sunday night at 3:45 in the morning. I was woke up out of my sleep. I didn't know what was going on. And my husband was, it was really horrific what happened to him. But nevertheless, he passed away. And, I was at the hospital all that morning, getting things situated. My children was by my side. My grandchildren was by my side. I had to let my family know what was going on. And I was just so broke. I mean, so broken because I done lost my best friend, and I'm trying to